All right. I said I wasn't going to do any more content like this to myself because I was thinking, what is my goal with posting on social media, right? It's to have people know about what I do, and it's to attract more clients. If you click on my page, you know immediately what I'm doing and what my goal is and that kind of thing. So I'm like, this kind of stuff doesn't make as much sense. And then I was sitting there and I'm thinking, like, I would like to have something in the future in 5 or 10 years that I can look back on and say, oh, that's what I was thinking. Like, that's where I was at in life. And I feel like that'd be pretty cool to see. And the other part of that is I don't enjoy posting like my natural thoughts online. And so I'm just going to make myself and then I'll get over it. So I'm kind of like killing two birds with one stone in a way. But my stuff like this, anytime I post a video like this, it's just going to be what I'm thinking about. Like what's going on in my mind. Because I feel like I'm a 24-year-old dude and there's so many dudes out there like me. And I've been having this huge internal debate for like the past month of what I want my life to be. I have these two categories. And the first one is just going super hard and being super disciplined in, everything that I do. And I'm 24 right now. And the thought is putting my head down until I'm, 30 and looking up and saying, okay, where have I gotten? Was it worth it? And then the other side of that is, I've worked really hard in this first time period. I want to enjoy it a little bit. What really has been hitting me is I force myself to live such a disciplined lifestyle that I miss out on a lot of the enjoyment of things because I'm trying to be as disciplined as possible in all aspects of life. And you get really fed up with that. I don't feel like a lot of people like talk about that part. They're like, oh, you just got to do it. Like, you're not going to want to all the time. But nobody talks about when it's like, dude, I've been doing this for years and I'm sick of doing it. Like, I just don't want to do it anymore. And then you just do it anyway. And then the other side of that is like enjoying what you feel like you've earned. And it's like, I've worked really hard for a long time. And like, I've had a lot of success with the business to where it's like, okay, I could go enjoy this if I want to. Like, I'll sit there at night and I'm scrolling through Marketplace looking at all the cool things that I want to buy. And I'm like, what's the point of working so hard and trying to build this huge business that earns you a lot if you can't enjoy it? And so those have been the two debates. I've been asking everybody about it, and everybody has a different answer. Hey, you should work really hard at this age. You're 24. This is the time to do it. Hey, you're 24. You've had good initial success. Like, you can enjoy yourself and take some time for what you want and do cool stuff. And then it made me realize, like, there is no right way to live. And everybody's got a different answer. Regardless of which path you choose, you're always going to think about what the alternative is. Like, hey, I'm gonna go crazy hard on this business. And then you think, I missed a lot of time because I said no to a lot of things because I said I had to work instead. And then you think, I'm gonna go enjoy what I've earned. And then you always wonder what could have been. And then there's the middle, which to me is like the most dangerous spot of all of them. Because in my opinion, you should just pick one or the other. And the middle is I got one foot in each. And you're not good at either one. Sometimes you work hard, and when you're working hard, you're like, I could be enjoying this instead. And then sometimes when you're enjoying this, you're like, I should be working hard. And so you're always like doing like a little snake pattern, and you're never getting to the point where you actually want to be. And you go online and you look at all these people that are so-called experts, whether it's in financial fields or, personal development or, motivational type people. And it's like, that's just a dude. Like, that's just another person. Who's to say that they're right? Like, this is the first time they've done it. I think when we look at these people and we see, oh, they have 5 million followers and wow, they speak with a lot of confidence and, they really sound like they know what they're talking about. Like, it's just another dude. We think that they've lived these multiple lives that have allowed them to have all this information that they know so much more than us. And it's like, in some cases, maybe they do know more than us, but that's not to say that it's the right way. It's not to say that the way that they chose to live their life is correct. And it's definitely not to say that, they're not sitting up at some point in the day thinking, well, what if I did it this way instead? I wonder how my life would have turned out then, because they don't post that. And so that's what made me realize, like, there's no right way to live. You just have options, and then you have the alternatives. And whatever option you select, you're always going to think at some point about the alternative. How could it have been? And you hear it all the time. The business dude that said, I worked my tail off for 20 years and I missed my entire life. And then the other side being, I really just enjoyed everything that I earned, but I don't really have anything of real value. And so that's the debate. And so ultimately, I made my decision because, I wrestled with this for like a month straight where I'm like, man, am I doing the right things? Because all I've done for like the past 8 years in two different aspects, first being baseball and now being business, is just work my tail off. And I got to a point where I'm like, man, I'm sick of this. I just want to enjoy myself. And so then I think, okay, well, what are my values? What do I want to be on a financial level, on a personal level, and then in my relationships, which route gets me there? And for me, it's the route of just going all in on something that I feel like can really help, not just me, but the people around me. And so that was my decision, is I'm just going to go as hard as possible on this business. And there's been some stuff out there recently that's really kind of put out exactly the way that I've been living, just into words. I've never put it into words. And it was the YouTuber, actually, Outdoor Boys, gave a graduation speech. And he talks about creating a gap for yourself. Coming out of college, there's kind of two different routes. People go out and they make mistakes and they're living paycheck to paycheck and they have no real options. Or they put some money away and they create this gap for themselves of their everyday expenses, their monthly expenses, and the amount of money they have in the bank. And the more that gap increases, the more options they have. And I'm like, that's how I've been living for a long time. Financially, I've always lived way below my means. Like, we're right now sitting in a 600 square foot apartment that is pretty cheap, and we don't have to live here. I've created this gap where I have a lot of options. There's nothing that I have to do. Like, if I lost everything today in terms of like the business and the work world, okay, I'm all right. I have plenty of time with the gap I've created to figure it out. And I feel like that's like the best piece of advice that you could give. And I've never heard it put into words like that until he gave that speech. And I'm like, dude, that's the best advice that there is out there for a young person getting ready to start their actual life in the real world outside of college. And that's the place I'm at right now.